Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, January the 2nd, Ian Cameron. And as you can see, our good friend Terry Edelman is back on the show. And I know a lot of people enjoyed the last couple appearances. Alex, it's called gout. It's acted up on him again, so we're letting him recover from that, get back to us tomorrow. And Matt's on his way back to Reno, so it ended up being either I'm doing the show solo or I bring in Terry again, and it was an easy choice. We bring in Terry again because he's done a nice job. And he's with us again here on the show today. Terry, how are you?
Pretty good. Started off 2025 1-0 with Kings money line yesterday. Pretty no sweat winner there. So
yep.
A nice start to the new year. And yeah, I wanted to thank everybody. I checked out the comments of the video of the couple of shows that I was on, and I really appreciate all the nice things everyone said. So I'm glad I can make you guys money, and the plan is to do that again here today. We've got an amazing slate today. So I was super happy when Ian asked me to come on because I love today's slate.
Yeah, exactly. You were very, very, showering this card, I should say, with praise about how good, obviously, the opportunities were. And it is a great card, big card here for this Thursday, the first show of the year. We hope you all survived the New Year festivities. Clearly you did. Great to be back for another year here on the Ice Guys as 2025 begins. I want to point out, by the way, and yes, I was on the Kings best. It was actually best bet if you took a look at Patreon. I used the Kings as my best bet yesterday with just the one game. So the best bet streak actually keeps on rolling. It's been just an absolutely phenomenal run with that of late. We'll see if we can keep it going today. But I do want to point out, big announcement as far as I know everyone's been awaiting the BetCast schedule for the month of January, our first month of the season where we're expanding beyond just the regular one BetCast per month. We've got not one, not two, but 3 live BetCasts coming your way here in the month of January. They're all going to be Tuesdays, and they are all going to be one per week starting January 14th. So there you have it, and are including our first 2 Patreon exclusive live betcasts. And again, those are only to members of our Patreon page. So January 14th will be our first betcast of the year. It will be also our first Patreon exclusive live betcast. So that's January 14th, just a little under 2 weeks from now. And then January 21st will be our free betcast open to everybody, also on a Tuesday. And then Tuesday, January 28th, we'll end the month with yet another Ice Guys live betcast. This one again for Patreon members only, a Patreon exclusive live betcast. So here you have it, 3 betcasts coming up in January. Again, excited about those. If you've never been to one, it's just us hanging out. You're drinking a few beers, watching the games, live bets. A lot of fun. Make sure you join us for our January live betcasts. January 14, January 21, January 28 coming up later this month. All right, let's get into this Thursday slate because it is a big one. We will begin with a great divisional rivalry here. Carolina taking on Florida. We got the Panthers minus 125 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Again, we've talked, this has been a theme I know on our show lately, Terry. I'm sure you've noticed it. What the hell's wrong with Carolina on the road? You know, the road issues have been a real problem here for this Carolina Hurricanes team. 1-8 now in their last 9 road games. Another road loss for them on New Year's Eve at Columbus. Alex and I had the Stones to take the Jackets as a very tasty home underdog on New Year's Eve, and we were both rewarded. I think Alex had that as his best bet, actually, on New Year's Eve as well. And I know I had Columbus money line and team total. I had the over by Fecta. First period, full game over with Columbus off a shutout loss. That game was beautiful. We swept the board with that particular hockey game. And look, to me, this is Florida or pass. I did bet Florida here, minus 120 a little. To me, it looks a little cheap. They've already beaten Carolina twice, and they've certainly rebounded after those back-to-back shutout losses. We'll see if they can continue that here, but I've just got all kinds of concerns about what I'm seeing right now from the Hurricanes on the road. I haven't even been all that thrilled. And I'm a big Pyotr Kochetkov guy. I don't think his play has been up to par of late either, which is concerning. And you look at Florida, like I said, they've certainly been controlling this series of late. So I thought, considering how woeful it's been for Carolina on the road, I thought the price was pretty cheap for Florida. Yeah, you're always concerned, John X. That's true. Good team like Carolina, eventually they step up, put their foot down, and have an A-plus game. Maybe they do here and they win, but I've got to see it before I believe it, because this road run for Carolina has been absolutely awful. So I'm on Florida here, minus 125, a little small piece of the over just because it's 5.5 even money. But like I said, I think Florida here is pretty cheap considering the struggles of the Canes away from Raleigh of late. Terry, what do you think here, Carolina, Florida?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm on the Panthers here. I got the minus 122 last night. And obviously, like you just broke it down, the Canes on the road, they've been so much more consistent at home, but really inconsistent 8-9-2 on the road. The Panthers, they've won 5 of their last 7 games. Of course, those 2 games they lost, they got shut out in. So if Florida scores a goal, it's a good sign if they're able to score here. And not only did they beat Carolina, they beat them 6-3 and 6-0. So the Panthers have really took it to the Canes in these first 2 games of this series. They've won 7 of the last 9 meetings between the teams, going back to their most recent playoff series. I like this price at the Panthers at home. I think they should be more, minus 135, minus 140. So I like them here, this price at home.
I think still a little respect for Carolina and obviously how good they've been over the years. But like I said, you don't get Florida this cheap usually in that minus 120, 25 range. I'm in agreement. I thought this could have been closer to minus 140. I believe it's going to be Kochetkov and Bobrovsky. I think another concern too for Carolina is Gostisbehere being out. Big component on that blue line. No question about that. He plays the power play. Obviously has chipped in 27 points in 35 games this year from the back end for the Hurricanes, and obviously out for an extended period of time now will be Gostisbehere with an upper body injury. So that is certainly going to be a blow here to the Hurricanes moving forward. All right, Minnesota and Washington already second game of the board, and we're already talking about Terry's beloved Wild. Here we go. Washington minus 160, home favorites, 5.5 the total. Cashed a ticket with Washington against Boston on New Year's Eve afternoon. I thought it was a nice spot. You got them losing in Boston last week, bounce back at home against that Bruins team, and Washington certainly able to do that and get the victory in that game. Laying, what was it, minus 140, minus 145. Now they're laying minus 160. I don't like them at this price as much. Laying a number like this against a Minnesota team that's been very solid on the road all year. Minnesota team that obviously gets Joel Eriksson Ek back a couple of games ago, but obviously still without Kirill Kaprizov, still on the injured list for this Minnesota Wild team. And obviously a big loss on the blue line for them, obviously, too. We talk about Brodin being so important, and the next man in line, if not just even more important, Jared Spurgeon for this Minnesota Wild team out due to the vicious slew foot that he took the other night against the Nashville Predators, lower body injury. And look, I said this with Jimmy the Bag earlier today. I'm a big fan of his game, Zachary Leroux. I think he's going to be a good player. He's got some Brad Marchand in him, little agitation, little offense to his game, but that's crossing the line there. I mean, it was just, he can't be doing that shit. Not at all. Unacceptable what happened the other night with him. He's got to rein that in. He's probably going to get dinged for it now as far as the suspension is concerned. So it's just a young kid that's got to learn, Sometimes you have those Matt Rempe type moments, these young brash kids that play with some edge and they just forget their head for a moment. And that's exactly what he did there, with that slew foot on Jared Spurgeon. So like I said, there's been some good signs from that kid, but just can't be doing that kind of stuff out on the ice, no question. I like the draw a little bit here in this game. I think there's reasons to think we could see overtime. The last time these teams played in Washington, we saw overtime between these two teams. It was a 3-2 Capitals win. I think it's going to be a close, competitive game. I think the total, it could go either way. I know it's Marc-Andre Fleury in net. I just found it hilarious that people were flocking to the over because 5.5 started to disappear and 6s started to appear the moment Marc-Andre Fleury was confirmed in net. You had the one rough start, I believe it was against the Panthers, but other than that, he hasn't been that bad in recent games. And Washington's been starting to trend a little bit under. Play a little bit of these 2-1, 3-1 games. So I'm totally neutral on the total. Think it could go either way. I like the draw, though. I do think there's a possibility we see overtime, close game. And keep in mind, these are teams in opposing conferences. Minnesota's not going to care if Washington gets a point, and Washington's not going to care if Minnesota gets a point out of this game. Terry, what do you think here? Wild Capitals.
I would love for the Wild to get a point in this game because I think that's a win. If they can just get it to overtime, I think that's a win because this Capitals team is a very good Capitals team. And a lot of people were looking at them last year thinking that was kind of a fluke. And then they made additions at all three: defense, forward, and goaltending in the offseason. We've seen what this Capitals team has done. Talking about the Slewfoot, I don't know about it just being like a mistake because he's been suspended 11 times in 2 other leagues that he's played in.
Yeah.
So this is the type of player he is. And if this is the kind of way he wants to play, then I don't want to hear any crying when karma comes his way, because I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. When it comes to this game here, we saw what happened when I faded the Wild against Dallas. So I'm not going to bet against them here. I do think that Washington is the right side here. Marco Rossi, if you want a bright spot for the Wild, someone to look out for tonight. Rossi's been great, a point 5 of his last 7 games, 2 goals and an assist against the Predators on that top line, on that top power play. I got him for -110 to get a point here. Rossi, I think that's a good look if you wanted to back the Wild in some fashion. And then I'm also on Dylan Strome to get a power play point, +260. The Wild's penalty kill, the 3rd worst in the NHL, 70.3%. Strome's got a power play in 2 of his last 3 games, so he's a good look. As well, Jacob Chychrun as well is a good look here. He's a power play point in 2 of his last 3 games. And Rye Guy in the chat on my show mentioned that it's his 500th game today for Jacob Chychrun. So I've not pulled the trigger on his props, but he has a point in 3 consecutive games and a power play point in 2 or 3. So I think he's a good look. Pierre-Luc Dubois, points in 10 of his last 12, continues to get his point on a mostly nightly basis. So he's a good look too as well. But just Rossi point for me and Strome power play point here in this one. Ovechkin goal, of course, a good look as well.
Yeah, I think as far as Chychrun and Dowd for Washington have been actually scoring a little bit lately. Nick Dowd is always one of these players that just pops up every now and then from that bottom 6 role and starts pouring in the goals just for a short period of time. He's starting to do that again. Chychrun's actually firing the puck a lot. And you look at the Minnesota side, I'm in agreement with Rossi, 2 goals in the last 4 games for him. How about Brodin for Minnesota? He's actually got 2 goals in the last 4 games, 4 points in the last 4 games. Going to get more run now with Spurgeon out as well. So I think Brodin, even sprinkle on the goal prop because he's had a couple of goals here the last 4 games and certainly going to play a lot more even more minutes now with Spurgeon's sideline. So Brodin's probably not a bad favorite. Goes without saying, is always, someone that's going to be involved in the offense too for Minnesota. So there's a few considerations there for props in this game. Protas, we've talked about it for a long time. Still getting the job done here for Washington. I'm waiting for Miroshnichenko to kind of get things going a little bit for the Washington Capitals, but I'm going to wait to see if he gets things going offensively before I start betting him for props. All right, we move along. We got Boston and the New York Rangers. Little original 6 here between these 2 teams. We got even money both sides, -110. The total sitting at 6, shaded to the under. Look, I get it. It's Boston, slight road favorites they opened. Do we trust the Bruins that much? It's more distrust and antitrust of Rangers right now. At this point in time for me. So for me, it's, lining up to bet against the Rangers until proven otherwise right now. And that's the way I see it. So I'm on Bruins here, -110. You also have Boston off a loss too. That's even the better part of this is the Bruins shouldn't overlook a wounded Rangers team after losing to Washington on New Year's Eve. So I do like Boston here, -110. Again, we're going to have to see the Rangers step up. Now we also know Igor Shesterkin out due to an upper body injury for at least the next 3 games. He's on the injured list. So it's Jonathan Quick, who's been trending downward again lately the last few games. You look at the last couple of games, he's given up, 9 goals in the last 2 games for Jonathan Quick, who started out the season really well, but has not played nearly as well here the last few for the Rangers. Jeremy Swayman has kind of trended in the better direction lately. 4-2 in his last 6 starts. He's given up 3 goals or less in all 6. So he's definitely played a little bit better going into this matchup. So it's just one of those deals where, until the Rangers step up and actually win a game. And I think the Rangers are one of these teams I'm sick of seeing. They play good in one period. They play good for a couple of minutes here and there. No, play good for 60 minutes and win. Can we ask the Rangers to do that with all the dysfunction? There's no doubt that they have soured on Chris Drury and the management. All the tea leaves are there, that they are really disgusted with the Trouba situation. They're not thrilled that Kakko got dealt, and why would they? And now you see him playing well in Seattle. So there's really all kinds of issues there. So I'll go with the Bruins here, -110. I like this over, too, at 5.5. I got 5.5, -120. Pretty good price with the over earlier today. There are still a couple books with 5.5. I think the Rangers can at home chip in a little bit offensively. I certainly think the Bruins can find their way to at least a few goals here. And again, both teams, I think, can find their way to scoring here against a couple of goalies that, I know he's been a little bit better lately, Swayman, but, still we got to see more. And of course, Quick hasn't been nearly as good lately either. So Bruins in the over 5.5 for me. Terry, anything you like here? Bruins, Rangers.
I really want to take Boston, but I didn't like what I saw from them in their last game, and then I didn't like what I saw when they played Columbus. They did have that other win sandwiched in there. Ultimately, I stayed off the side here. I know a lot of people like Boston, and I can understand why at this price.
It's one of those deals where if I wasn't on against the Rangers as often as I've been the last few days and weeks, probably not betting Boston here. But because I've been riding it, we ride it until we lose. It's always the rule for me when I'm streaking against a team or on a team. Yep.
You don't have to tell. I'm completely the same way, especially with my player props. People that watch my show, I bet that's how I bet is streaks. A big portion of my betting is streaks, but haven't been on really fading the Rangers. I've been kind of picking my spots. A lot of plays for me today, so I'm going to pass when it comes to the side.
Yep.
But I am taking Justin Brazeau anytime goal for the Boston Bruins. He's scored in 3 of his last 4 games.
Yep.
And he's on the top power play for Boston. Yep. I got him at +3. Sorry, I'm trying to find it here on my sheet, but I can't.
Back-to-back games with a goal, too. Yeah, he's percolating right now.
Yeah, +380, anytime goal, top power play. We know the state the Rangers is in, so I'll take him at +380. Justin Brazeau, anytime goal. That's my only play here in this game.
All right, good. That's definitely a good goal prop to go with for them. Coyle would be the one I'd consider as well for the I got the Red Wings on the mind because it's the next game. But yeah, for the Bruins, Charlie Coyle, I think probably worth a look here as well. All right, next up we've got Detroit and Columbus. Jackets -115 home favorites, total 6.5 here in this game. Now, first, obviously, look, the first inclination here for me was we're going to ride Detroit again, right? They've won back-to-back games, Penguins and the Capitals, back-to-back wins to get the Todd McClellan era going. You throw out the Toronto game because he just got there the day of the game, first time talking to the team, and you could tell things were still a little out of sync. He got a practice in with the team Saturday, and look at how much better they were against Washington. They beat a really good Caps team. More practice time. They play solid again, beating a Pittsburgh 4-2. Best bet winner for me with Detroit on the New Year's Eve show, our final show of 2024. And now you got the Jackets, but I'm a little hesitant here with the Red Wings. To me, I'm only Detroit here or pass. But now you're going on the road, and I'm going to give the Jackets their due in the way they've played at home. They've been very good at Nationwide Arena, and not just winning 4 in a row now at home, but some of these teams they beat are pretty good. Montreal, Boston, New Jersey, Carolina. These are some good teams that they've been beating lately, Columbus, on their home ice. And not going to be an easy game here for the Red Wings by any stretch of the imagination. Not with the work ethic, not with the I think we see more a precision offensively from the Jackets at home. Their power play has been very good here on home ice as well. That's certainly something to take a look at. Yeah, there is that letdown factor for a team that's coming off a pretty big win against a good Carolina team the other night. Is there a potential letdown spot? Yeah, potentially there is. There's no doubt. Put it this way, I do lean Detroit, but I respect the way Columbus is playing in this building. I do, and it's enough. I think that I'm going to stay off Detroit tonight. I did consider them, but I'm going to stay off them. I like the over by Fecta though. Over 1.5, over 6.5. The full game over and the first period over. Since Todd McClellan's been there, we've got 3 games. The first period over and the full game over have cashed in all 3 Red Wings games since Todd McClellan's taken over behind the bench. We also have a pretty decent series history of higher scoring games. So definitely liking the over by Fecta. I lean Detroit, but ultimately I passed. Terry, what do you like here? Wings, Jackets.
Yeah, I'm on the over 6.5. This game just screams over. Detroit, 7 of their last 8 games, there's been at least 6 goals. So some of those games have fallen short with the 4-2 score, but then there are quite a few overs. Columbus, 4 of their last 5 games have gone over 6.5. And then, 3 of the last 4 meetings have gone over 6.5, and 6 of the last 8 as well. So I'm on the over there with you. I think we get lots of goals. But I'm against you there on the side. I took Columbus, minus 118. This Blue Jackets team at home is just a wagon. They just play really well at home, and this Blue Jackets team in general has exceeded my expectations. And I thought, and I mentioned when I did the season preview show for Columbus, that they are a team with a lot of young talent. And with young talent, you don't know when they're going to take that next step. Well, a lot of the Columbus rookies have taken that next step this year, and we've seen it, especially Dmitry Voronkov, who's been a moneymaker for me. I'm on his power play point at plus 375. I'm also on Sean Monahan, over half a power play point at plus 300. Detroit, the second worst penalty kill in the league. Only the Islanders are worse. This Columbus power play has been rocking and rolling. That top line in general has been just going crazy. And I'm also on Kirill Marchenko anytime goal. Scored in 4 of his last 5, plus 175 to score. I love that top line to do damage on the power play as well on 5-on-5 if need be.
I like a lot of the Voronkov and Marchenko have been great. There's no question. I'm going to take a shot too. He got his first point the other night, 13-1, and he was noticeable. Shot the puck a couple of times. Denton Mateychuk, they like this kid for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now remember when he was on the Canadian World Junior team just a couple of years ago, what a good player he was. So he got his first point the other night. They put the donkey cap on his head. That's what they do in Columbus. They put the donkey cap on you when you're the player of the game. So, but Denton Mateychuk is a good player. I think he's going to be a good one for them in time. I think 13-1. Why not? Because I think he's been active. He's playing second power play right now for the Jackets from the blue line, and like I said, he's been shooting a little bit. So that was definitely a bargain bin consideration for me. The only problem is, it's just not a big sample size he has, but I think at that price, it's worth a look for sure when you're looking at it. And Talbot and Merzlikins are the confirmed goaltenders. For Detroit, DeBrincat, Kane, the old foot soldiers. McClellan has awoken a new spirit out of them. They've been good. You can look in those directions for player props. Berggren, keep an eye on him. He scored the other day. Berggren's a streaky guy. Jonathan Berggren here for Detroit. Veleno's up on the top line, so there's certainly value with him with Raymond and Larkin. Will he be able to cash in is the question. And Mo Seider is someone that Todd McClellan said, shoot the puck more, big man. Will we start to see that more often? Because they want to get more out of Mo Seider. That's been a big talking point from Todd here the last couple of days, that we think he has got so much that he has to offer as far as being a complete, well-rounded defenseman. So maybe just I hear that. It makes me think, hey, maybe we're going to see a Seider type of game here tonight. So plus 675. We're kind of seeing some things that we see. Wait a minute, these young defensemen and the coaches are talking about how they can be a big impact. And that's kind of my thinking with Mateychuk on the Jackets side. That's kind of my thinking with Sider on Detroit as to why they might be worth a look tonight, stab in the dark kind of thing with a goal prop here in this game with the Red Wings and the Blue Jackets. All right, Toronto Maple Leafs and New York Islanders, they meet again. This is a home-and-home series. They played in Toronto on New Year's Eve, back at it here tonight at UBS Arena. We've got -110 both sides, 6 being the total here in this game. Leafs and Islanders, 5.5 in some spots, which is important based on what I like in this game. So Toronto's the better team, but they got their win against the Islanders Monday. And I was on the Leafs on Monday, and it wasn't pretty, but they found a way to just push through and get the win against the Islanders. Although nice assist to Patrick Waugh, deciding, let's pull the goalie with a defensive zone faceoff, with no guarantee that we're going to win the draw. And sure enough, they lost the draw, and it blew up in his face. And Toronto was able to put the game away there. But this has been a tough place to win for Toronto. They have had some tough times here at Long Island and UBS Arena lately. They've lost 3 in a row here. In Long Island against the Islanders. For some reason, it's almost like there's some kind of voodoo curse on the Leafs when they go to the island. We know we're going to hear them boo the John Tavares like they always do. I'm so sick of that, but it's not going to change. They're going to do it forever. I think they got to just move on, but it is what it is. I do like John Tavares props, by the way, tonight. I do think he's worth a look maybe to get on the board. And I cashed a goal prop with him against the Islanders thanks to that empty net goal that he scored against the Islanders on Monday. So that's definitely a prop I'm interested in. As far as the side goes, Leafs are the better team. Islanders are not. So I think the side benefits the Islanders. They're off the loss. They've played well against Toronto at home. I can see the reasons for betting the Islanders, but I don't want to bet the team that isn't the better team at a price like this. Simple as that. I do like the draw, though. I think the draw is very live in this game. Islanders, plus 330 is the price you can get with this. We've seen a lot of overtime hockey in this building between the Leafs and Islanders in recent meetings. So I do like the draw. I do think it's worth a look in this game. And at 5.5, I'm going to look over the total in this game, thinking we get a little bit of a different game flow from the stodgy, tight, low-scoring 3-1 game that we saw in Toronto on Monday. Sometimes with these home-and-home sets, Terry, first game stays under, second goes over, and vice versa. I find that does happen often. So over 5.5. And again, this is riding this trend we've talked about with Toronto road games under Craig Berube this year, where I believe it's now 11 of 14 or 11 of 15 Toronto road games have had at least 6 goals in 11 of their 15 road games. And this is something we mentioned a couple of games ago with Toronto and their totals trends away from home. So they seem to play a little loose on the road, a little more loose, and score a little bit more, actually, on the road as well. Whereas lately at home, and we saw it against the Islanders on Monday, they seem to play tighter, defensively. Usually it's the reverse. Team goes on the road, they play tight, and then at home they try to put on a show. It's actually kind of worked in reverse here for the Leafs this season. So at 5.5, I am interested in the over. And look at these Leafs-Islanders games lately in Long Island. They've actually been trending over the total, the games in this building between these teams. So, over 5.5, -120 is the price with that, and I'm going to sprinkle on the draw as well. Tavares props too. Why not? What do you think here, Terry, Leafs-Islanders?
Yeah, I took the Leafs here. I think this is a great price for the Leafs. I got them at -114 last night because I kind of expected maybe to go the different way. Instead it looks like maybe money's coming in on the Islanders or the Lions moving towards them. But Toronto, they've won 5 of their last 8 games, 8-6-2 on the road. So obviously not an amazing road record, but 8-6-2 isn't too bad. Islanders 7-8-2 at home. They've lost 5 of their last 7. I'm not a fan of this Islanders team. I haven't been for years. I call them old and slow, and we see it. They are old and they are slow. So I'll take the Leafs here. I think this is a good price for them. I know these two teams just faced each other, and normally you kind of want to go with the other team after these teams face each other. But I like the Leafs here. And I also wanted to really thank Patrick Waugh because I was on Mitch Marner over half a power play point plus 200, William Nylander over half of a power play point plus 210, and John Tavares over half a power play point plus 300 because of how awful this Islanders penalty kill is. It is the worst in the league. Patrick Waugh pulling that goalie when at least we're on the power play on the power play. Marner passed it to Nylander, who passed it to Tavares, cashed all 30 seconds left. Thank you so much.
Patrick Waugh cares about you winning your bets. It's that simple.
He does.
He
and
clearly does.
I'm going right back to all 3 again, because now that they're in New York, we're getting an even better price on all 3.
Yeah.
Marner, over half a power play point, plus 240. Nylander, plus 250. And John Tavares, over half a power play point, plus 330. All 3 guys, power play point, 3 of their last 4 games. Islanders penalty kill, 63.9%. So give me all 3 of those guys to get a power play point, and then the Leafs to win this game.
All right, there we go. Leafs to win the game, and a series of Leafs props there as well for Terry with this one. All right, Ottawa, Dallas. We've got the Dallas Stars minus 180, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. So I've now seen Mads Søgaard in action, not just this year, but we saw him last year for a bit for Ottawa. And I've also now seen Levi Meriläinen, the other goalie that they've got with Ullmark and Forsberg, both still on the shelf. And to me now, I'm at the point where I'm ready to say that I think Meriläinen's the better goalie. I've been more impressed with him so far this season for the Ottawa Senators in brief duty. And obviously, look, we saw what Ottawa was able to do. And I know that must have disappointed you, Terry, with the Ottawa-Minnesota game the other night. What can you say about Ottawa, though? They're just finding a way. This road trip that was broken up by Christmas, but extends all the way back to December 17. This is now their 7th straight road game, 4-2 so far, and the losses were to Winnipeg and Edmonton. And Edmonton, they were on a brutal spot. They were in a brutal spot in that Edmonton game. You know, it was back-to-back. They won in Vancouver the night before. This has been a really good road trip for Ottawa. I've been very impressed. I think with Meriläinen in net, they've got a better shot against Dallas tonight than they would with Søgaard in net. Dallas is off a 4-2 win against Buffalo at home. They've now won 3 of their last 4. That was kind of a stop the home ice bleeding, if you will, victory over Buffalo, because they had lost 3 in a row at home, Dallas, before that game. We'll see how they fare here in this, but I'm interested in Ottawa, just to dabble here in Ottawa, but plus 150 in this game. They're really playing as a team, as a unit, as a collective. Very hard. The work ethic's been there. The only thing I'm worried about is as we get closer to the end of this long and winding road trip, which will end in Detroit on next Tuesday, you know, all the air miles start to add up? Does it take away some of their energy? Does it start to lead to more mistakes and turnovers and gaffes from this Ottawa Senators team? You are concerned about that a little bit, but you know, you're going to keep giving me a price like this with this team when they've been ultra competitive, and they're only 2 losses, you know, on the in their last 9 games have come to the Jets and the Oilers, which is no shame in that. You know, they're worth a shot at this price, and this is a perfect game to illustrate to all of our viewers and listeners that in this sport in particular, a money line sport like hockey and baseball as well, you could say that you're not always just betting on teams; you're betting prices. And you're getting a pretty solid price here with the Ottawa Senators here, plus 150 tonight. So I'm going to dabble in it. Nothing super big for me, but, you know, at this price, I'm interested here in Ottawa. And keep in mind, too, Dallas was tied with Buffalo in the 3rd period the other night. So it's not like Dallas ran away and hid from the Buffalo Sabres the other night. So a little bit here on Ottawa, plus 150. And like I do with the big dogs, we'll sprinkle it. We'll split it with the team total. Over 2.5 on the Senators here as well. Terry, anything you like here? Sens and Stars.
Yeah, I lean with the Sens. I lean with the Sens. Didn't end up getting to it because it's a high volume slate, and I had to try to be selective with some things because a really high volume slate for me. So I do lean with Ottawa, but I do have an Ottawa prop here in this game. On the top line, Ridley Gregg. He scored in back-to-back games.
Yep.
And he's on that top line, plus 650 to score a goal.
Yep.
So
got to bet it.
Back-to-back games with the goal, plus 650.
Harley Pinto's on that line too, so he's worth it. He was the one I like as well. Yep.
Well, there you go. I'll take Gregg, you take Pinto, and we can both cash.
Yeah. Gregg's a great choice too.
Line.
Yeah. Gregg's absolutely.
Yeah, but that's my only play here in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been good, obviously, back-to-back. It's not just back-to-back games with the goals, 3 in the last 5 now for Ridley Gregg as well. So he's definitely made the most of that opportunity on the top line for them. Pinto with the 3 goals in the last 6 games. And now he's shifted up, too, to playing with the captain, Brady Tkachuk. I believe that's the line that we saw Travis Green kind of put together, and he liked what he saw from it in the Minnesota game. So he's keeping it that way. Here it looks like going into the Dallas game tonight, playing with Tkachuk, Pinto, and Gregg together. Gaudette, Stützle, and Batherson on the second line. So that you got great value with both of them, Pinto and Gregg. Excellent value, both of those players as far as goal props here tonight in this one. All right, next up as we continue along here, we've got, let's see, Anaheim and Winnipeg. We've got the Winnipeg Jets off that 5-2 loss to Colorado, so pretty much discounts me from wanting to bet against them here. Off a loss like that, but they are laying minus 260. And don't look now, Anaheim's won 2 in a row, and they've won 2 in a row against pretty good teams. You know, they beat New Jersey and Edmonton. They didn't beat the dregs of the league the last 2 games. Anaheim beat New Jersey and Edmonton, back-to-back games to get basically these last 2 victories. Will it continue here? This is not just Winnipeg off a loss. But if you actually go back and look at how Winnipeg played the last time they played Anaheim, they lost 3-2 in Anaheim. So they've not only off a loss to Colorado in their last game, they're off a loss in the most recent meeting to the Anaheim Ducks as well. So it feels like Winnipeg can get back on track here. John Gibson is confirmed in net here for the Winnipeg Jets for the Anaheim Ducks in this game. And obviously, you know, I prefer seeing Lukas Dostal in net for sure when it's Anaheim. There's no question. Anaheim's been good. Anaheim's been tough. We'll see if that continues here in this one tonight. I did grab a little Jets over 3.5 at minus 134 team total in this game. The total has gone up from 6 to 6.5. With Hellebuck in net, I'm not sure. I love it. I certainly think Winnipeg can chip in. What will we get from Anaheim is going to end up being the big question. You know, the Jets have played some pretty good defense at home. The Jets have Hellebuck was outstanding against Nashville in the last home game, and if he's anything like that, it may not be easy to light the lamp tonight for this Anaheim Ducks team. So I feel better just looking at the Jets part of that equation over 3.5. What do you think here, Terry? Ducks, Jets?
Yeah, I'm not getting involved with the side here. And I did beat Winnipeg 3-2 when these two teams faced each other. So it is a revenge spot for Winnipeg. Obviously, they're off that awful game to Colorado, but that was not a great scheduling spot. But you can't make excuses. Lots of teams have bad scheduling spots. So just a bad game. Now they're back at home. This should be a good spot for the Jets. I'm looking at props, of course, and the Ducks, another penalty kill. That's bottom 10, facing the top power play in the NHL with the Winnipeg Jets. Kyle Connor, a power play point in 7 of his last 8 games. Didn't get one against Colorado. I like him to get one here. Plus 185 for Connor to get a power play point. And then I'm on Gabriel Velarde, anytime goal, plus 190. Scored in 3 games in a row. Plays with Connor. He's good for a power play point too, but decided in case maybe there's not a lot of power plays, instead of going with the power play point, I'll go with the goal for Velarde and then Connor power play point plus 185 here.
Well, Velarde's ripping and roaring again. When he gets in one of these heaters, look out. And he is in the zone again for this Winnipeg Jets team. 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points just the last 4 games. Absolutely phenomenal lately for them. I like Robbie Fabry for Anaheim for goal prop tonight. Robbie Fabry's starting to get things rocking here and he's a good player when he's healthy, but he's just been besieged and set back by one injury after another, going back to his Detroit days and earlier in his career. And to be able to get plus 450 with Robbie Fabry the way he's been producing lately for Anaheim, I think that's a really good one to look at that price for a goal prop here for the Ducks. All right, Buffalo, Colorado. We've got the Avs minus 210. Home favorites, 6.5 being the total in this one. Scott Wedgwood is going to get the start here tonight for Colorado. Of course, lately, most of the starts have been Mackenzie Blackwood of late, but no, it'll be Wedgwood now getting the start, his first start since a performance he had against Anaheim where he played very well in a victory, gave up only 2 goals. He's been pretty solid here for the most part since coming over to Colorado. Not nearly as good as Blackwood, but still pretty solid. We'll see how this one plays out. Buffalo with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen expected to be in between the pipes. Colorado certainly playing some great hockey. There's no question about that. We'll see if that continues here in this game. This is a weird game for me in that I'm all over the map. I've got team totals on both teams. I've got the over by Fecta in this game, and I've also got Buffalo, a slight piece of Buffalo money line. I'm really all over the map here when it comes to this game. And I think we could get one of these crazy games here, where as good as UPL's been lately, Buffalo now on the road again after being in Dallas. Colorado lighting the lamp right now. They've scored 4 goals or more in all 5 games of this current win streak that they're on. But at the same point in time, I do feel that for the Avs, the Sabres have kind of been a thorn in their side at times. Buffalo is scoring goals right now. I know they finally got held down by Dallas to just 2 goals, but before that, they had scored 3 goals and during that win streak that snapped the 13-game losing streak. So I kind of feel like Colorado can get theirs because they're just in good form offensively, and we know Buffalo can still give up goals, and even in the wins, you're still seeing Buffalo give up goals. So I like the Buffalo team total over 2.5 minus 125. The Colorado team total over 3.5 minus 125. A little piece of Buffalo plus 175 plus 180 money line. And then the full game over 6.5 here. Actually, I thought I had an over by Fecta. I don't. The first period over is too expensive. I only did the full game over 6.5 here with the Sabres and the Avs. So there you go. Both team totals. Sabres money line over 6.5. I think it could be one of those 5-4 fill in the blank for somebody. Hopefully Buffalo, but wouldn't shock me if it's like 5-4 Colorado either. And in fact, I think I remember. I think the game in Buffalo earlier this year between these two teams was 5-4 for Colorado. So I like those bets. I think both teams can cash their team total. I think Buffalo at this price is worth a shot. And I like the full game over here, 6.5. It's a unique approach, but don't do it every game. But I think it makes sense here. Terry, what do you think here? Sabres, Avs.
Well, I'm glad that you've got a whole bunch of plays here for this one because
you don't, right?
because this is one of the ones where I'm kind of I lean with I like the Colorado team total that you gave out minus 125. I can find it still for that. I saw minus 130 at FanDuel, but yeah, I'd like to get that minus 125. They've been scoring 4 goals on a nightly basis. A lot of 4-2 games for Colorado recently and for Buffalo. So obviously, when you're looking at the 6.5, you really don't want those 4-2 games unless it's early in the third period, and then you can maybe get an empty netter if they pull the goalie earlier. But I do like that Colorado team total. Nishushkin is out; he's not playing in this game, so I don't like that. Looking at props because I think it might maybe affect a little bit of the chemistry. So this game, not one of my favorites overall on the slate.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. There are a few props that I do like here. Colorado, Lehkonen with McKinnon and Rantanen's been great. Parsonen is going to get a chance with Drouin and Colton. And I think all 3 of those guys, quite honestly, Parsonen, Colton, Drouin, might be all worth a small shot here on the Colorado side. For Buffalo, the 2 standouts are the old veteran, Jason Zucker, 3 goals in the last 4 games for the Buffalo Sabres. You're getting plus 360 for him to score a goal. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, he's actually done some damage against Colorado in the past, so that's not a bad look. And then the other guy, not see nothing like the mighty Jack Quinn. Jack Quinn for the Buffalo Sabres as well. I think, like I said, he's started to shoot the puck more, puck going in a little bit more. Those are my 2 favorite goal prop looks on the Buffalo side. Benson's kind of quiet lately. Watch him come alive tonight now that I'm not betting him tonight. But my 2 favorites, you can't bet everybody, are certainly Zucker and Quinn. Keep an eye on Bo Byram. This is definitely something interesting. He's going back to Colorado, of course, former member of the Avs. Not a guy that's put up certainly not a ton of goals this year, 4 goals, but he does have 17 assists. So if you want to be safe and just go with the assist prop, you can. Don't be shocked if Bo Byram, maybe makes an offensive impact here for the Buffalo Sabres tonight in this game, going back to Colorado, where, of course, he started his NHL career. And again, the goal prop, I know he's only got 4 goals, but sometimes you get wired and you get excited when you're playing your old team, especially back in their building, and you start to think, hey, let me shoot the puck more. Let me see if I can rip one past and get one behind in the net and light the lamp. 11-1 is not bad, if you want to take that shot with Bo Byram here tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. All right, we move along now to Utah and Calgary. Utah Hockey Club, Calgary Flames. We've got Utah road favorites here around minus 120. The total 6.5. I don't like fading Calgary at home. They've been a great home team. We know that. We'll see if that continues here tonight against the Utah Hockey Club. Utah was on a 7-game road winning streak, which got snapped lately with the losses that they suffered back-to-back. The recent road losses. We'll see how this plays out here tonight. Calgary with Wolf, I might have backed Calgary. With Dan Vladar, it's probably going to be a pass, but the fact remains 13-4-3 for this Calgary team at home. They've now won 3 in a row against Chicago, San Jose, and Vancouver. Now, Chicago's not great. San Jose, of course, has sputtered lately, and Vancouver's got a shit ton of problems on and off the ice, and we're going to get to that in just a moment for the Vancouver Canucks in this one. And then, meanwhile, you got Utah, certainly 5 straight losses, not playing great. Certainly Calgary, with the way they played at home, you could make a damn good case for Calgary in this spot. But I don't know. There's something about it. I'm not feeling too. Something's not quite right. That's the feel that I have about this particular game for the for this one. And yes, by the way, there are lots of injuries still for Utah. Marino, Dursey, Lamoureux, Ingram still on IR. We expect Vimelka, and yes, Clayton Keller, the captain of this Utah team, out with an illness. And obviously a big loss for the Utah Hockey Club. Yet Utah's taken money because this opened with Calgary, slight home favorites. Now Utah has become the road favorite here in this game. This is one where I'm just staying off completely, really. There are a couple props I do like, which I'll mention in a moment, but that's about it. What do you think here with this one, Terry? Utah, Calgary.
I took the Flames. I took the Flames last night. I'm not excited that Vladar is in net. Of course, if you're backing Calgary, you do want Dustin Wolf with the season he's having. But I'm fine with it being Vladar here. The Flames, as Ian said, a fantastic home team, 13-4-3 on the year, and they've really had success. Obviously, it was when Utah was Arizona, but they've won 9 home games in a row against the Utah franchise as Arizona. So. Including both meetings last year. So obviously the lineup hasn't changed a whole lot from last year. This Flames team is playing much better than they did last year, especially towards the end of last year. So I like the Flames at home. I think the wrong team is favored here. As I said, no, I'm not excited that it's Vladar, but I think Clayton Keller missing the game, I think that evens it out quite a bit. That's a huge loss to this Utah team that doesn't exactly have a ton of depth. Player props here. I did one same game parlay. Jonathan Huberdeau over half a point. Nazem Kadri over half a point. Plus 150 for both just to get a point. They've both been scoring goals. I'm not going to try to guess who's going to score. I'm just going to parlay both to get a point. Plus 150 at Bet365. Huberdeau point and 11 of 13. Kadri 8 of 10. Both on the top line, both on the top power play. I love that bet at plus 150. Huberdeau and Kadri to get a point, and then Flames to win the game as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see. I'll hold the phone on the declaration of Keller being out because doubtful was the last we heard. We have not heard anything for certain here today about it. So we'll wait and see. I
think if he is announced out, we'll see the line move again.
Oh yeah, I was going to say I don't think it's been confirmed just yet, but I'm sure and I like Huberdeau to score plus 250. You mentioned the points prop. I like the goal prop. He's been on a roll lately for Calgary. Yeah, not bargain bin price here with Huberdeau. Plus 250 is about the best you can find with his goal prop, but definitely still something I would be interested in here for Calgary with the way he's been playing of late, no question. Cooley and Gunther probably are always the ones I'm most interested in on the Utah side. They're going to have to step up more if by chance Clayton Keller's a no-go tonight. All right, Vancouver and Seattle. We've got Seattle minus 120 home favorites at Climate Pledge Arena. The total here sitting at 5.5, I should say, shaded to the over in this one. So first thought is Vancouver. Play on the road where they play better. You're playing a Seattle team where you absolutely shit the bed on Saturday at home against this Kraken team. You were up 4-1, 5 minutes left in the third, 3 unanswered goals late in the final 5 minutes of that third period for Seattle to tie it. And then Vince Dunn breaks your heart with the game winner in overtime. A brutal loss, 5-4 in overtime for Vancouver to Seattle. And here they are. They get to play that same Seattle team less than a week later. And this is not just your average revenge spot. This is meaningful revenge. The way you lost that game was just horrific. You go from 4-1 up to losing in overtime. So right away, my first thought was, well, we got to look at Vancouver. But the more I look into this team and the way they're playing, Terry, and the issues that the Miller-Pedersen stuff, it's like this untenable tension now that is built up with this team, and it's impacting their play on the ice. And what got me off taking Vancouver tonight is I didn't like what I saw against Calgary. You had that blown game against Seattle, and I didn't see a huge, big time effort against Calgary. I didn't see a great performance by any stretch, losing that game 3-1 to Calgary. Not to mention, you take Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson out of this lineup, and you're already without Philip Hronek, so you are really ailing on the blue line because those are your two best defensemen by far. It's not even close. No Quinn Hughes, and it's almost like no bet for me on Vancouver. That's kind of where I'm at because they have not looked good without Quinn Hughes. That he is that good. He is that important. When you go from Quinn Hughes and Hronek, even, you can throw him into the mix. Those two guys being out, and Derek Forbort is not a fucking top pair defenseman. And right now, Rick Tockett's got him paired with Tyler Myers on his top pair. You tell me if that's an NHL caliber top pair. It is not. Soucy, and I like Soucy, but Noah Julesen's now with him. He's a depth guy at best. Brandstrom and Desharnais are not anything to write home about. Desharnais is a guy that barely can crack the lineup on his best day and is not the best skater, prone to gaffes defensively. There's just all kinds of issues right now. I can't do it, even though the spot screams Vancouver. And to get back at Seattle for last Saturday, they're just in a complete, utter disarray. With the loss of Hughes, the loss of Pettersson, and the loss of Hughes is the one they really can't overcome because of all the minutes he plays, 5-on-5, power play, penalty kill, in all situations, big minutes. Who's taking up those minutes now? Derek Forbort? I mean, my goodness. Holy gosh, you talk about a huge drop. I mean, that is, and I like Derek Forbort's a nice, tidy, physical, stay-at-home defenseman who can drop the gloves like he did the other night. There's elements of his game that I like, but top pair, Billing on the blue line and the minutes he's going to be asked to play, not a chance. So no Vancouver for me. I like the spot for Vancouver. I don't like anything about this team and what I'm seeing on and off the ice, so it's a pass. So my long-winded way of saying, yeah, I'm not involved. What do you think here, Terry? Vancouver, Seattle.
Well, Melissa said in the chat that this might be my favorite game, and she'll have to wait for the best bet segment to find out if that is the case or not. But I see a lot of people on Vancouver in the chat, a lot of people on Seattle, but people aren't talking about this total here at 5.5. And it has my attention. Vancouver has gone over 6.5 in 3 of their last 4 games. Seattle, back-to-back games, they've scored 5 goals. So Seattle's got their offense going. They've gone over 6.5 in 4 consecutive games. And these two divisional opponents, they faced each other 12 times. All 12 games went over 5.5. 10 of the 12 games went over 6.5.
Yep.
This total should be a 6.5. This total should not be a 5.5. And I'll happily take it at 5.5. Yep. I don't understand. I saw it at 5.5 last night, and I was expecting to see 6s at least, but that's still not the case. Yes, Elias Pettersson's not there, but he hasn't been there the last couple games. Vancouver's still going over the total, and Ian just talked about the
Except the
defense.
Calgary game, but you're right about that series history. That's a brain fart on my part. I'd totally forgotten about it. You're right, Vancouver. I mentioned this series history with the over Saturday when I broke this game down, the game in Vancouver, and I was on the over bifecta in that game because of it. So yeah, I don't love what I'm seeing from Vancouver. They're having a hard time generating offense, but I think just based on series history, you got to play it at the numbers you're getting.
And Decord's still not playing, so it's
Yeah.
Philip Grubauer
Yes.
who has struggled. So absolutely, I love the over 5.5. I'm shocked it's still a 5.5 here in this game. And then not on any Seattle props because they're difficult because players move around and they don't have like that one line where you can say like Columbus right now. It's that top line is doing all the offense. Seattle, it's kind of mixed around. They are getting some good offense from Schwartz, who's playing with Kako and Beniers in the top lines, and then obviously Bjorkstrand has been productive for most of the season. But my player prop is on Vancouver. Give me Brock Besser anytime goal. He's scored in 4 games in a row, and I got him for plus 190 to score, which I think is great value. That Vancouver top line, DeBrusk, Miller, and Besser have been doing the load of the offense for the Canucks lately.
Yeah, no doubt. There's a lot. There are some props I like. You mentioned Besser. He's carried Vancouver. There's no question. DeBrusk worth a look. For Seattle, that's where a lot of the props I like are. Schwartz is on fire. Give me Jaden Schwartz. Give me Vince Dunn. Vince Dunn's been scoring goals, shooting the puck a lot lately. I think there's great value with both of them right now for the Seattle Kraken as far as getting on the board and getting a goal in this game. Like I said, Jaden Schwartz, Vince Dunn. Let me see. Burakovsky now, keep an eye. Kako, who's playing with Beniers and Schwartz. There's some chemistry now that Dan Bylsma has found with those three. 5 shots on goal against Utah for Kako, even though he didn't score. So that tells you all you need to know. He's on the precipice probably of finding the back of the net again. And like I said, I've been very impressed with his game of late. So yeah, Dunn, goal and assist. Schwartz, Kako, maybe a little Andre Burakovsky, if you will. Those are definitely some of the props standing out to me on the Seattle side here in this game. And yes, I am going to look at that first period full game over split here in this game, more so on the full game over, higher percentage on the full game over. Again, that Vancouver-Seattle series history. There's just certain teams, Rangers, Panthers, Canucks, Kraken, Penguins, Islanders, where it's just when the two teams get together, it's just overs for some reason. It's just
Florida Rangers.
Yeah, that's what I
Florida
mentioned.
Rangers was that one.
Panthers, Rangers. Yep. There's another one, and it just cashed again the other night. So, and Vancouver, Seattle's become another one of those where it's just been one over after another head-to-head between these two teams. And so even at the 5.5, with the numbers you're getting, 5.5, even with the concerns and no Quinn Hughes for Vancouver, still probably have to bet it at the number you're getting here. All right, next up we've got Philadelphia and Vegas. Philly shutting out San Jose 4-0 in their last game. An injured Ersson left the game after the second period, and Kolosov took over for Philly in that game. And Kolosov will be the starting goalie tonight for the Flyers. Ersson is out. Vegas minus 200 home favorite, 6.5 the total. Ilya Samsonov going to get the call for Vegas in net in this game, and he's off a shutout victory in his last start against Calgary on Sunday. Played very well in that game. Can he sustain that? One thing about Samsonov in his career, and this was especially true in Toronto, not always consistent after that great start. Can he put 2 in a row together is going to be the question here. You've got Vegas off that, and I was so happy to see it being on Montreal, but and Montreal team total, but just a very painful, bad loss, really. I mean, 2-0. You have the early first period lead. Montreal chips away, battles back, and then the Habs end up winning 3-2 in Vegas on Monday afternoon, New Year's Eve, or Tuesday afternoon, I should say, New Year's Eve. So certainly that loss is not going to sit well with Vegas going into this game. You've got Philly certainly riding high after shutting out the Sharks. Kolosov, the lesser goalie than Ersson in net. It's got all the makings of a Golden Knights team total over to me at 3.5. I'm interested in that. I'm actually on the over by Fekta here too, because when I see Kolosov starting, I think over. I don't trust the guy flat out, and we see why. 4-7, 3.39 goals against average, 872 save percentage. He did pitch a shutout against San Jose, but it's San Jose, and you only faced 7 shots when you came into that game in relief of Samuel Ersson. Let's not forget before that, he gets lit up by the Kings, gives up 5 goals. He gets lit up by the Kings again, gives up 6 goals back in Philly against them. He gives up 4 to Boston, 4 to Florida, got pulled in that game. There's been a lot of ugly for Alexei Kolosov here. And like I said, like that little lawyer jingle from the Toronto radio, Sokolov Lawyers, people in this parts have heard it. I always say, don't put it off, fade Kolosov. That's what we're doing here. Fade Kolosov, but we're doing it with the team total over 3.5 for Vegas. And I'm also going to go over by Fekta. And I don't trust Samsonov to be as great, coming off a very rare shutout win for him against Calgary the other night. So it's an over by Fekta, and it's Golden Knights team total over 3.5 as well. Terry, what are you liking here? Flyers and Golden Knights. Our guy Noah Cates has stopped scoring all of a sudden here. He had that nice little run, and he's cooled off a little bit. But what do you think here? Flyers, Golden Knights.
Yeah, I'm going back to him. I'm also going back to Brett Howden as well. So both of them have kind of cooled off the last couple of games. Let me get it up here. Brett Howden, he scored in 4 of 6, and Noah Cates has scored in 5 of 7. But they're both plus 450. And with what Ian just said about the goaltending situation for both sides in this game, these guys are still hot. Yeah, okay, maybe they haven't scored in the last game or the last couple of games, but I'll go back to both of them one more time. Noah Cates plus 450, and then Brett Howden, which I got at plus 450 at DraftKings. So both guys plus 450 to score. Great value on both. And then, yeah, I think we could see some goals here. Not on the total myself, but I think we see goals.
I agree with that. There have been some close games with the Flyers and the Golden Knights. So if you're interested, like Bailey is with Flyers plus 1.5, I don't mind that actually. I could see it being a 1-goal game. But like I said, I don't want to take Vegas in the money line. To me, if you're going to target Vegas, trust them to score 4 because this guy gives up 4 goals very often. Kolosov here for the Flyers. So, like I said, I like that Golden Knights team total over 3.5 and the over by Fekta here with the Flyers and the Golden Knights here as well. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of either of these two net minders in net. As from a reliability and a consistency standpoint, I think there's still a lot left to be desired. As far as props for me in this game, you mentioned Howden. That's not a bad option. I like Olofsson too for Vegas. Kolasar's on the second line getting an opportunity for Vegas, so there's a little bit of a value there for them, for him, I should say. Frost has been starting to pick it up. If you really want someone with some value, doesn't mean he's going to score, but he's centering the top line at the moment. Ryan Poehling, and he got one of their goals against San Jose on New Year's Eve. So I like what I'm seeing from the value, the opportunity, centering that top line for Tortorella. And plus 775, I mean, why not? For him centering the top line, we saw him score against San Jose. Why not with Ryan Poehling here? Take a shot for Philadelphia to find the back of the net. All right, we've reached our final game of this massive Thursday slate, Tampa Bay and San Jose. We've got the Lightning minus 280 road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Of course, I faded Tampa successfully with Montreal in their last game, the end of that homestand, and Tampa Bay. Well, Montreal did take advantage of no Jake Gensel, late scratch in that game, and Jonas Johansson, not Andre Vasilevsky, being in net, but give Montreal credit, still able to win that game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. But now Tampa off the loss, starting this California road trip. They probably won't take San Jose lightly, obviously coming off that Montreal loss. We'll see if Gensel's back in the lineup. We don't know for sure yet. Game time decision is the latest update for Jake Gensel with that upper body injury. So we'll see if he's able to return here for the Lightning. Certainly would be a boost for them. Not that they can't beat San Jose without him. They certainly could, but certainly would help if he's back. Yaroslav Askarov, the young prospect, confirmed in net here for the Sharks in this one. Wallman is out for the Sharks on the blue line once again. Still no William Eklund, and you can tell the loss of Eklund. The offense has kind of sputtered a little bit in recent games. Certainly it's a Tampa spot. They have, by the way, owned San Jose 9-1 in the last 10 meetings. They have won pretty convincingly at times in the past year in the Shark Tank. But again, with Tampa, the price is too expensive. And even the team total with Tampa 3.5, it's as high as -160. I don't like that price enough to bet it. But what I am on here is we've got our one and only system play of this Thursday card with San Jose off the 4-0 shutout loss to Tampa Bay, which means first period over, full game over. The shutout loss trend went 2-1. Actually, it went 4-2 because it went the full game over and the first period over cashed with Carolina, Columbus, with Nashville, Minnesota the other night, and it lost with Vancouver, Calgary. So it went 4-2 overall. Still a profitable night with the system play. It has been really hot the last couple weeks again after it cooled off for a bit. So we got San Jose off the shutout loss. First period over, 1.5. Full game over, 6.5. Those are my only two bets here for this one. Terry, what do you think here? Lightning, Sharks.
Yeah, I like the Lightning here. I like them to take care of business. Tampa Bay, 8 of their last 11 games they've won, all 8 by multiple goals. So if they're winning the game, they find ways to win by multiple goals. That also included the 8-1 win against the Sharks team in Tampa Bay. I don't need 8-1 today, but I'll take it. The Sharks, they've lost 8 games in a row and 11 of their last 12. I was saying on my show this morning to Sharks fans, don't be upset. You've got a lot of young talent, and another top 5 pick is not going to hurt. So take these losses. The future is very bright. Just look ahead towards the future. The Sharks have lost their last 4 home games, all by multiple goals. Tampa Bay's won 11 of the last 13 between these teams, including the last 4 in San Jose. 9 of the 11 games that they won were by multiple goals. And the last 3 meetings, they've outscored San Jose 18-2. 18-2. So I'm on Tampa Bay puck line -102. I think I did see it now at +100 at some spots. No, not a lot of value with the puck line, but with the stats that I just gave out, it's a play for me. Tampa -1.5 here. I think they take care of business against the Sharks.
Well, definitely. If you want to take Tampa Bay, that's the way to do it, especially when you factor in the 8 straight wins for them have been by at least 2 goals. So it makes no sense to take the money line. It makes sense to go puck line if you're going to look at Tampa. Team total I was looking at, but I'm just going to go first period over, full game over. There are actually a couple of value props on the San Jose side. I don't know how much they're going to score tonight. They're having a tough time. Obviously, although, again, off a shutout loss, why is this angle great? Because teams off a shutout want to throw everything at the net. They got to get their offense going. So I do expect aggressiveness from San Jose offensively. That's why these games have been going over like they have, first period and full game with teams off a shutout loss. But they are hurting, obviously, with Eklund out. They called up Colin Graff, who's got pretty good offensive numbers down with the Barracuda, the San Jose Barracuda down there in the American Hockey League. Celebrini, Smith, and Graff, they're going to try that out as a line. Ryan Warsofsky. I think there is some value with Smith and Graff alongside Celebrini. And Klim Kostin, former Oiler, is on the top line, it looks like now, with Zetterlund and Granlund. So got some value there with Klim Kostin. Again, it's a guy that can chip in every now and then. He was even able to score a few goals for Edmonton on occasion. And given that opportunity, top line for San Jose, and +750 is worth a look for someone playing on the top line. I don't care who it is. So that's the way I see it there for San Jose. For Tampa Bay, as far as them, Brandon Hagel continues to be great. Connor Geekie is, I think, worth a look as well. Those are the two that I think provide some solid value for the Lightning as far as goal props tonight. Great stuff. Great card. We look forward to it. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Before we get to, of course, all the best bets and bargain bin special, of course, make sure you sign up. Patreon.com/IceGuys, $10 per month. Again, goalie charts, totals charts. We've got our daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And again, we just announced it earlier in the show. We've got 3 betcasts in January. 2 of them will be only available to Patreon members on the page. January 14, January 28. Those 2 betcasts will be Patreon exclusive. So your only way to join us on the stream and tune in for the betcast is to join us as a Patreon member. Again, just $10 per month. We appreciate it. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. And again, your $10 subscription goes a long way to keeping the show going. And in the long term, $10 per month. Make sure you sign up. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. And also check out the Ice Guys store. Get your gear and your merch over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Believe Alex mentioned it on Tuesday, and I believe it's still in effect right now. There is a sale going on with the store currently. So check it out, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, we've got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsbook, Raise Your Game, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out. 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. I think we're in the same boat here, Terry and I. It's a very difficult decision what to go with for bargain bin special of the night, but we must go with one. Terry, what have you got for the bargain bin?
Yeah, I was telling Ian in a message before we did the show that I think I have like 7 or 8 plays that could be on the bargain bin. So tough decision. I'm gonna go though with John Tavares over half a power play point, which is still available at plus 330 at bet 365, facing that Islanders penalty kill, which is awful. And my second one, it would back up, would be Dmitry Voronkov power play point plus 375. Again, the Detroit penalty kill is awful as well. So I like both of those guys. But John Tavares going back to New York, I like him to get a power play point against the Islanders.
There you go. John Tavares, power play point for the Toronto Maple Leafs against the New York Islanders for Terry with his bargain bin special of the night. Bargain bin special of the night for me. I mean, there's a lot of good choices overall to go with for this one. Gosh, let me see what we should go with here. There's a couple really good prices on a couple of these. Oh boy. I think I'm going to go to Ridley Gregg. I think I am. I think I'm going to go to Ridley Gregg for Ottawa. It's a good one. He's been scoring. He's on the top line with Mr. Parlay Pinto and Brady Tkachuk. And it's a Dallas team that Ottinger at times has been a little up and down at home. Chance maybe to get on the board. Plus 650, good price. BetMGM, Ridley Gregg, Ottawa Senators, plus 650. Let's go with that for a bargain bin special of the night. There's some good ones out there, but yeah, that's the one I think. I like the price the best. He's on the top line. He's gotten goals 3 of the last 4. It's a good one at plus 650. All right, best bets here for this Thursday. Terry, what do you like here for best bet?
You guys probably know where I'm going. Give me the over 5.5 in Seattle, Vancouver. I would be betting it at 6.5. With that series history, every single game has gone over 5.5. The Vancouver defense, I don't understand how it's not a 6 or 6.5. So I'll happily take Vancouver and Seattle over 5.5 as my best bet for tonight.
There you go. And again, series history dictates it. I talked about this on Saturday when those two teams played in Vancouver, how it was just one over after another, head-to-head, Kraken versus Canucks. That game flew over the total, and I'm in agreement with that. It's probably worth a look, even with the concerns with no Hughes, no Pettersson. It's still been a strong over series history that it's worth a bet. Seattle, Vancouver, Seattle over 5.5, minus 115 for Terry with his best bet. My best bet for this Thursday card. Lots to choose from. Let's go with that Detroit Columbus over 6.5. I'm going to go with that. I like it. I think we'll see goals in that game. I think Red Wings 3-0 to the first period over, 3-0 to the full game over as well since Todd McClellan took over as head coach. Columbus been scoring goals in bunches on home ice. They've got series history dictates that we've seen goals between these two teams head-to-head. It's not like Lyon and Merzlikins are the second coming of Bobrovsky and Mike Vernon in net either for these two teams. So, like I said, I think we'll see goals. I am actually going to make it official on over 6 at minus 125, which you can find at Pinnacle. I'd rather have the 6 and lay that minus 125 than the 6.5. But it's okay if you can only, I still like it either way, 6 or 6.5, but I'm choosing to go with the over 6 at minus 125 at Pinnacle for the official best bet here. So Red Wings, Blue Jackets, over 6, minus 125. That is going to be my best bet here for this Thursday edition of the Ice Guys. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We appreciate it very much. Hit the like button on the way out. We've got all kinds of fucking chat shenanigans going on right now. I don't even fucking stress over it anymore. I just look back and laugh. People blocking people, insulting people, it's just funny stuff. All we say is keep it civil. Just don't be, you know what, racist, misogynist, any of that stuff. Just, you can chirp people, but yeah, keep it within reason. That's all we say. Terry, great stuff again. Great job on the show and filling in for obviously an ailing Alex and a traveling Matt. So we appreciate you filling in. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. We are back to Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, starting next week. And Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. Bailey, come on a betcast, please. You're on in the chat every day on our YouTube chat. Come on in, join us on one of our betcasts. We got 3 coming up this month, Bailey. January 14. January 21, January 28. Come on the betcast. We'll talk to you. Surely you can't be unavailable all 3 of those nights. So there you go. Come on in, Bailey. Join us on the betcast. Like I say, you've been in the chat every day. It feels like we know you well. Come on in. Join us on one of the betcasts. We'd love to see you. For Terry Edelman, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll be back with you tomorrow on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.